what makes a man high value tends to also make him attractive, and what makes a woman high value does not tend to make her attractive.
What's your definition of a high value man?
Okay, so this is like the go-to for all these like panel shows, is like what we go with the high value man thing. So one of the things that makes it very different is for a woman and a man is when we say high value man, we're talking about like how valued is he by the opposite sex, or how valuable is he to, like, say, the open market. And for a woman, those things are two very different things. And for a man, a lot of times they're the same thing. And what I mean by that is, let's say a good-looking Tom Brady, he plays quarterback, he's good looking, he's a good player, he's got a high profile lifestyle, and he was at one point married to a very, very successful Victoria's Secret model. If you look at all those things make him more marketable. Companies want him to market their product, and it also makes him sexually attractive to women. You see, Dante, how both of those things are the same. He's sexually attractive to women, and he's skilled. You could say the same thing. Let's say we have a cardiologist. He's incredibly proficient at doing heart transplants, and he's makes a lot of money, and he's a leader of men and all these things. So now he's good at his job, which makes him attractive on the open market, and he's attractive to women. So now we have a woman here, and she's a cardiologist. And let's say there's a woman, and I have a daughter, and she does a heart transplant on my daughter and saves my daughter's life. To me, that is an incredibly high value woman, but I'm not more sexually attracted to her because she's a good cardiologist. You see the difference? This is where the confusion happens, where when men get on these shows and like, well, men generally want women who are feminine and blah, blah, blah. And they name all these feminine qualities from, red pill dogma or whatever. And women are like, men think women are trash. No, that's not what we're saying. Like Madame Curie, when she discovers radium, that's incredible. She wins the Nobel Prize for that. But it doesn't make her husband's penis harder because she discovered radium. And so that's the difference. Does that make sense? A woman might date a man. If he wins a Nobel Prize, she actually might become more attracted to him for winning a fucking Nobel Prize. That's incredible. Right. But a man generally doesn't feel the same way about a woman for the same reasons. And so that's the reason why. So when we go about what is a high value man, this is a very dangerous, not dangerous, but it can have some very ugly repercussions. Because if you ask me, what is the value of Apple stock, or what is the value of the S&P 500, there's a defined value, and that value is based on supply and demand. And if you look at that value based on supply and demand, you get an actual number. And some of those people who supply and demand are horrible, horrible people. Some of them are good people. So the reason why I bring that up is there's some men out there who are terrible people who thousands of women want to sleep with. Hundreds of thousands of women, terrible, terrible people, right? But they do. So what will happen is we'll ask women, hey, what do you think a high value man is? And they'll be like, well, I think it's disgusting that Leonardo DiCaprio keeps breaking up with these women when they turn 25 years old. That wasn't the question, though. I didn't ask you what a good man was. I asked you what a high value man is. And I would never break up with my girlfriend because she turned 25. But more women want to sleep with Leonardo DiCaprio than me, even if I am a good man who works in fucking animal rescue. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So when we talk about value, like objective value, the problem is when you talk about objective, like a great example would be Dan Bilzerian. You'll be like, a ton of women will be like, he's disgusting, womanizing, fucks all these women, terrible. And then I'll be like, okay, so if I go to his house, I'm not going to see 300 girls trying to sleep with him. Yeah, you will. And they'll be really hot because I've been to his house like 15 times. And there's always a new group of 21-year-olds trying to sleep with him. So when we have these definitions, first off, the answer, Dante, is there is no answer. But the problem is what I said before, what makes a man high value tends to also make him attractive. And what makes a woman high value does not tend to make her attractive. And so that's the reason why there's a separation between these two things. And that's all the reason why when we say high value man, if we're talking about does the opposite sex desire this man, that when we talk about like, is he protecting? Is he providing? Some of the biggest scumbags I've ever met have slept with more women than anyone I've ever met. And some of the nicest dudes I've ever met haven't had sex in 5 years. So that's the problem. So that's why this whole conversation, when we say high value man, we just leave this big fucking bubble of ambiguity where we can't actually answer the question. What man do women find more sexually attractive? And what women would a man rather have raise her kids with him? These are two completely different questions. And if you're asking what man would a woman generally want to have, I'm just guessing here, I'm not a woman here, but I'm going to guess a protector, a provisioner, a provider, and someone in my estimation who would be willing to die for his tribe. That's a good man. That's a good man. But a lot of those good men went to Normandy in 1944 and died for their fucking country. And when they got home, do you know that 75% of the men who fought in World War II had to file for divorce because their wives cheated on them? Those are your high value men, but they got cheated on when they got home. So that's where this whole thing gets really confusing, Dante. That's why this discussion in its ambiguity, that's why no one will ever come up with an answer for this question.
I mean, I think you killed it with that answer. That it's the
Mm.
sexual value, not the
Yes.
value to society or the value in character. That's a great point. I think that
Yeah.
creates a whole conversation, not centered in, logic and respect, but it just triggers a lot of different people because they feel like they're being attacked.
Like one of my favorite ones is like, oh, a high value man would never cheat. That's Brad Lee came on my show and he said that, and I'm like, Brad, I'm like, the dudes I know who like are insanely attractive to women have slept with the most women I've ever seen and constantly cheat on their girlfriend. And you keep telling me this, but I just look at the world and the world tells me something objectively different. Now, are they good men? No. If my daughter was dating one of these dudes, I would break their fucking jaw. Of course, that's what I'm saying. But when we keep saying we start putting these aspersions on these men. I cannot fucking believe that this guy would ever do this. And I'm like, yeah, he did it because here's the other problem is that men keep rewarding bad behavior from women, OnlyFans and like other things where, women do things that men don't want in a relationship. And then that ends up being the standard for women. And women reward men who do bad things, which is why women keep complaining about narcissists. Do you want to know why women keep complaining about narcissists? Because they keep sleeping with narcissists. If women all decided, if 4 billion women on this planet all said at the same time, we will never have sex with another narcissist, psychopath, or Machiavellian person, or person with borderline personality disorder, we will never have sex with another one of them, those attributes would be wiped out of existence. But they won't, because women still reward those behaviors. And because of that, they're still pervasive. That's how natural selection works.